Hi, in this little demo I'm going to show you exactly how to make a very accurate grid, which you will be needing for transferring your image to actual drawing paper. So you're going to need a ruler, you're going to need a pencil, and I'm using a mechanical pencil for this because it is very fine and I think it works really well. You can use any pencil though. And then of course my drawing paper. I have an eraser in hand just in case. So I want to make sure that the edge of my ruler is right on the edge of the paper, and actually it's where the zero would be. Some of the rulers we've got have got a little bit of extra room on them, and so you want to make sure that the zero is lined up with the edge of the paper. You're going to start at the top and you're going to make a small little mark by every 1 inch increment. So on this ruler you can see there's a lot of little lines and then a long line with a number next to it. That long line is where all of the increments are for the inch. So I'm going to go all the way across and make those little marks at the 1 inch increment. And I do need to be pretty precise about this. One of the things about making a grid is precision is necessary. Now I'm going to bring my ruler down to the middle part of the paper, and I'm going to again be sure it's lined up correctly with the zero at the edge of the paper. And then I'm going to make 1 inch marks all the way across again, just like I already did. And the reason I'm doing this in 3 places is because if I have only done it in 2 places, it's really easy for that to get off a little bit. And if that line is off a little bit, your whole grid gets off. So I'm now finished the middle part. Now I'm going to do one more set of little marks down at the bottom of the paper. Again, I have my ruler right at the 0 point on the edge of the paper and making a series of little marks as I go all the way across. Now I've got a series of marks here, here, and here. So I'm going to put my ruler down and I'm going to be drawing a line so that all 3 of those marks are lined up against the edge of the ruler. And draw that line. You probably noticed I'm doing this extremely lightly. That's very important. If it's too heavy, you will never ever be able to erase that grid. And nobody wants to see a grid behind a nice shaded drawing, which is what you're going to be doing. So maybe you need to practice making that line really super light. It almost is not there. You can see it's very, very light. The lighter the better. You want to be able to see it, but you certainly don't want to be able to see it darkly. You want to be able to erase it easily. So I'm going to go across here and make my lines. I'm matching them up with all 3 marks. Like I mentioned before, when you have got 3 marks down, your grid will be, if you've measured carefully, your grid will be very accurate. You want all of those lines to be parallel with the side of the paper. And when they are, you've got an accurate grid. So I'm going to finish doing this. And I've got just a couple more to go. And then I'm going to turn my paper 90 degrees. And I'm going to do the very same thing I just did before. Now I've got these were vertical lines, now they're going to be horizontal lines. Once again, at the top of the paper, I'm going to line up my ruler with the edge, making it the 0 at the edge of the paper. I'm going to go through and make little 1 inch marks all the way across. Have fewer of them to make this direction. I'm going to drop down to the middle of the paper, line up my ruler, the 0 with the edge of the page, and again make 1 inch marks all the way across. And last but not least, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the page and do it again. Just make sure you're lined up correctly with the edge of the paper. And I've got all of my marks made. Now I'm going to turn my ruler and I'm going to find each of those 3 marks that I've just made. Line up my ruler with all 3 and make my lines going long ways on the paper now. I know this seems like it would take an awful lot of unnecessary time, but the truth of the matter is it truly is necessary when you are getting ready to use this grid to transfer your image. If your grid is off, then every part of your drawing will also be off. If it's off just a little bit, it may not make a huge difference, but it will make a difference. And the more precise your grid is, the more true to life your drawing will be as you have transferred your image. Okay, so you can see here I've got 1-inch grid. It's parallel with the sides of the paper, and every little box is 1 square inch. Now you're ready to start transferring your image.